Today, if you have been watching the news, you are being told a very specific story. You are being told that Iran is falling apart from the inside. You are being shown the images of chaos in the Grand Bazaar and the protesters in the street of Shiraz. But I want to ask you one simple question that mainstream media won't. Who benefits when Iran burns? Today, I want to look past the headlines of economic collapse and look at the hand holding the matches. We are witnessing a calculated multi-front war designed to cripple the sovereign nation. We are seeing the return of a rogue style of American diplomacy that many hope was a thing of the past. Today, I am speaking about the right of a nation to decide its own destiny without interference from the Mossad in Tel Aviv or the State Department in Washington. We are going to talk about the hidden hand behind this protest, the reckless path Donald Trump is carving through the Middle East, and why the pro-regime rallies seen just yesterday in Tehran are the true pulse of a nation that refuses to be a colony again. Now let's talk about economic myth versus sabotage reality. Let's address the elephant in the room. The real, yes, it hit 1.4 million to the dollar. Yes, inflation is punishing the average Iranian family. The critic says this is clerical mismanagement. But let's be honest, how is any economy supposed to breathe when it has wood on its neck? In 2025, the world saw the most aggressive escalation of economic warfare in modern history. The United Nations reimposed sanctions that were supposed to be a relic of the past. But more importantly, let's talk about the June 2025 strikes. When the United States and Israel bombed the nuclear facilities at Fordo and Natanz, they were not just targeting centrifuges, they were targeting the confidence of the Iranian market. The goal is to make life so miserable for merchants in the bazaar and the students in Tehran that they feel they have no choice but to tear down the Iranian state. It is a manufactured famine. When Israel strikes Iranian infrastructure and then US Treasury freezes the nation's remaining assets, they are creating the very crisis they then claim to want to rescue the people from. It is the height of hypocrisy. Now, let's talk about the hidden hand and the puppet master. Look at the protesters themselves. The video on social media are posted by bots and amplified by the Western news cycles. But look at the rhetoric. Suddenly, there are calls for return of the exiled crown prince. Does anyone honestly believe that a figure sitting in a villa in the United States, funded by Western interests, represents the will of Iranian people? The Iranian Foreign Ministry has been clear, and the evidence support them. Israel and the United States are not just watching these protests, they are directing them. There have been reports of Starlink terminal being smuggled across the border, provided by Western tech giants to ensure that the narrative remains controlled by the outside forces. This is a Sharia playbook all over again. You take a legitimate economic rebound, which Iranians have every right to be frustrated about, and you inject it with foreign-trained agitators. You turn a protest about bread prices into a demand for regime change. Why? Because a strong independent Iran is an obstacle to the Greater Middle East project that Israel and Washington have dreamed of for decades. They want to cripple Iran from within because they know they can no longer defeat the country from without. Now let's talk about the Donald Trump, the rogue actor. And then there is the man in the White House, Donald Trump. Donald Trump's actions over the last year have been nothing short of raw. In 2025, he ordered strikes on Iranian soil without declaration of war, bypassing international law as if it were a mere suggestion. And just this week, his side on social media telling the world he is locked and loaded. He claims he wants to rescue the Iranian people. This is the same man who once banned Iranians from entering his country. This is the same man who tore up the JCPOA and destroyed the livelihoods of millions of Iranian families with maximum pressure. To Donald Trump, Iran is not a country of 85 million human beings. It is a campaign slogan. It is a way to look tough for his base. By threatening military intervention every time a situation arises in Tehran, he is actively discouraging dialogue. He is acting as a rogue agent of chaos, pushing the world toward a regional war that no one except perhaps the hawks in Tel Aviv actually want. His rhetoric isn't helping the protest, it is putting a target on their back by marking internal disagreement look like CIA operation. Now, let's talk about the silent majority and the pro-regime voice. What the West won't show you are the rallies that took place just yesterday. Thousands upon thousands of Iranians took to the street to not to burn the flag, but to wave it. These aren't paid actors. These are people who remember that what Iran was like before 1979. These are people who see what happened in Iraq to Libya and to Afghanistan after America liberated them. They see the rebels in Gaza and the smokes over Beirut, and they say, not here. They support the Islamic Republic not because they think everything is perfect, but because they knew. They know that alternative offered by the West is totally disintegration. They are protesting in support of their government because they value sovereign over false freedom imported from Washington. They understand that if the pillars of the state fall, there will be no democracy, there will only be a vacuum filled by extremists and foreign corporations. In conclusion, let's talk about the path forward. As we move further into 2026, the pressure on Tehran will only increase. But the message to the world must be clear. Iran is not a playground for foreign intelligence services. The Iranian people should not let their frustration be weaponized by those who wish to see their country divided into dozen wearing pieces. The international community must stop the rogue diplomacy and the maximum pressure that only yields maximum resistance. Thank you.